In my lectures, I often ask the audience, all those who want to become free from sorrow, put your hands up. So everyone puts their hands up. Some people put both hands up. Then I say, or I ask, those who want to become free from joy, put your hands up. All the hands come down. Every single hand comes down. Some people even put their head down. People want to become free from sorrow, but they are not willing to give up the idea of joy. They want to give up sorrow and they want to have joy. And this has been further confused by various people who have constantly tried to say that the spiritual path leads to great joy. But before anyone can get any joy, you have to give it up. Because reaching that state of realization is becoming free from joy and sorrow. If you take a coin, one side of the coin is heads, and the other side of the coin is tails. Can you have the coin and say, I want the heads only coin, I don't want the tails? It's not possible. So also, joy and sorrow are two parts of the same emotion. You can choose to be free from joy and sorrow, or you can choose to have joy and consequently suffer sorrow. But all these Jeevan Mukts that are being described in the Bhagavad Gita, nowhere will you find that that person is enjoying great joy. The emphasis is always on becoming equanimous, on being able to regulate that emotion so that you are emotionless, at least free from reactive emotion. In the Bhagavad Gita 12th chapter, Krishna begins a description of the person who is Jeevan Mukta and also engaged in Parabhakti. Therefore, after describing the qualities in each verse of this Jeevan Mukta individual, he always ends the verse, mostly ends the verse, saying, Yo mad bhaktaha same priya. That this devotee is very dear to me. Such is my devotee who is very dear to me. So therefore, you should understand that this is the path of one who is fully devoted to the person Lord Sri Krishna. And in beginning this description of this Jeevan Mukta individual who is engaged in Parabhakti, what happens is that Krishna emphasizes right in the beginning, in the first verse, in the first part of the first line, Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karunya evacha nirmamo nirahankara sama sukha dukha shami. Adveshta sarva bhutanam, one who does not dislike anybody. So if you have the slightest ill will, if you have the slightest dislike towards anybody, you are disqualified from being Krishna's devotee. Krishna's devotee is one who has already crossed over the platform of Brahman. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na sochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. So Krishna says that for one who has attained this platform of Brahman, this Brahma bhuta platform, he is free from both desiring and regret. He is free from hankering and lamentation. He looks upon all people with equal vision. So this is the nature of a person who has crossed beyond Brahman. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na sochati na kankshati samaha sarveshu bhuteshu. So he has crossed beyond hankering, lamentation. He sees everybody with equal vision. And what does he get for having attained this platform of Brahma bhut? For having attained this platform of Brahma bhut, he says, Mad bhaktim labate param. He is given parabhakti, which makes him that kind of devotee which is described here in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, from 12.13 onwards. So he says, Adveshta sarva bhutanam. So my friend, search your heart, search your mind, see whether you have even the slightest bit of dislike, whether you have the slightest bit of anger, resentment, hatred, whether you are averse to anybody in this world, then you are disqualified from becoming a devotee of Krishna. He says, Adveshta sarva bhutanam, all living entities. He is not averse to any of them. He is not inimical to any of them. He does not hate any of them. He does not dislike any of them. And it's not enough not to dislike. It's not enough not to hate. It is not enough not to be inimical towards. He says, Maitra karunya evacha. Maitra, karunya. He has an attitude of compassion and friendship. He is friendly towards all living entities and he is compassionate towards all living entities. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karunya evacha nirmamo nirahankara sama sukha dukha shami. Without any sense of I, me, myself, mine. Nirmamo, nirahankara, without considering himself to be a doer. This devotee, Krishna explains, Nirmamo, nirahankara, samaha, he is even-minded in happiness and in distress. You know, this 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is such a wonderful chapter. In the beginning, when you are studying Bhagavad Gita, it will do you great benefit if you learn the Bhagavad Gita 12th chapter by heart. And whenever you are free, you can recite this 12th chapter in your mind and reflect on the meaning and also reflect on how close you are to becoming a real devotee of Krishna. I have seen in my life and in the lives of others who have done this great transformation, great transformation. going through great distress, going through great sorrow, going through great tension, going through great misery and suffering, by reciting this 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita and learning it by heart and reciting it whenever one has time and is alone, it will transform you, it will purify you, it will relieve you from suffering. So Krishna says, Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karunya evacha nirmamo nirahankara sama sukha dukha shami. So he points out, Krishna points out, that this nature of this individual is that he is equanimous, even in happiness and in distress. He is fully satisfied. He is completely equanimous. He has attained full and complete emotional quietude. He has a silent mind. He is free of ego. Last time I spoke to you about depersonalization. Truly, here is a person who is nirmamo nirahankara. And nirmamo nirahankara means the spiritual perspective or the spiritual type of depersonalization that occurs when you remember God and forget yourself. Then he says, Santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nischaya mai arpita mano buddhir yo mad bhaktaha same priya. So clearly Krishna is pointing out that the nature of his devotee is that he is always content. Santushta, he is always content. Satatam, always, constantly. He is content. There is no discontent in him. There is no moment when this devotee of Krishna's is discontented. But because he is content within, doesn't mean that he is inactive in the world. Santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nischaya. He endeavors and struggles in the world with great determination. See, in this world, what happens is that people are never content. And although they are never content, their discontent keeps them inactive. Oh, I wish I had that. Oh, I wish I had this. Oh, so their problem is that they are thinking too much of what they don't have, and they are not acting to do anything within the world. The devotee of Krishna, the Jeevan Mukta who has attained Parabhakti, such a person is not just content within, but that contentment does not lead to stupor. That contentment does not lead to inactivity. That contentment does not lead to paralysis. That contentment leads him to become dynamic. It leads him to become fully active in the world. And how is he active within the world? With great determination. Santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nischaya. Now you might think that, oh, if I was truly content, then I would sit still and I would enjoy what I had. I would not really go out and try to do anything. No, Krishna says, contentment within, activity without, dedicated activity without. So internally your mind is still, but externally you are an engine of activity, of creativity, of energy, of industry. So santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nishchaya. Then you will say, how is that possible? All the content people have seen, they don't make much effort in their career. They don't make much effort in the work that they're doing. No, these people are not making an effort for themselves. He says, Mai arpito mano buddhir. Whatever he is doing, my devotee is offering unto me. He is content for himself within because he is remembering God and forgetting self. But although he is remembering God and he is forgetting self, as he continues to act within the world, he is acting feverishly in the world, offering everything to God. And such a person, Krishna says, is very dear to me. Yo mad bhaktaha sa me priya. So he is not like everybody else, discontented. He is content, always content. Satatam, santushta satatam. And he is endeavoring in the world with great determination. He is not withdrawn from the world. He is in fact engaging with the world. And all his senses, his mind, his intelligence is offered unto God. And he is engaging in the world with great determination. Such a person, Krishna says, is very dear to me. So do not think that the Jeevan Mukta is the one who has stopped acting in the world. The Jeevan Mukta, Krishna points out here, is santushta indeed. He is content within. But he is yatatma drida nishchaya. He is struggling in the world. He is endeavoring in the world with great determination because his mind and his intelligence have been offered unto God. This is the critical point that must be noted by you. Do not think that attaining Jeevan Mukti will paralyze you. It will make you withdraw from your job or your career or your studies or your relationships. He is endeavoring in the world with great determination. That is the nature of his devotee, Krishna's devotee. Further, Krishna says that my devotee never disturbs anybody. Elsewhere, Krishna will explain what is austerity of speech. Anudvegam karam vakyam satyam priyam hitam chayat swadhyaya bhashanam chaiva vanmayam tapah uchyate. Where Krishna explains what is austerity of speech, and that austerity of speech is never speaking anything that disturbs another person's mind. Speaking the truth, but only that truth which is pleasant and beneficial. Never using your ego to project your opinions, but rather quoting authority, especially scriptural authority when it comes to religion. So here Krishna re-emphasizes Yasman nodvijate loko lokan nodvijate cha yah. He does not agitate the world. He does not disturb the world. It's not his job to disturb the world. If people come and try to disturb him, he says, yes, you are right. Doesn't argue with anybody. There is a famous story of a great Pandit who came to demonstrate that he was the real authority in all the scriptures. And he challenged the two Goswamis, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disciples, to a debate to show that he was far more learned than them. So both the Goswamis said, no, you are more learned. We don't want to argue with you. You are definitely more learned. So he said, all right, give me a certificate which I have prepared. You sign here that I am more learned than you. So wherever I go in the country, I can show that I am more learned than the leading Goswamis of the Vrindavan. So both the brothers, Rup and Sanatan, signed there that yes, you are far more learned than us. But one of the younger Goswamis, he was very upset. And he challenged that scholar to a debate. And he defeated him, demonstrating that indeed he knew more of the scripture than they did. And the elder Goswamis immediately exiled him from Vrindavan. That you don't belong here in the holy land of Krishna because you are not a devotee. You don't disturb other people by defeating them. You don't disturb other people by arguing with them. You don't disturb other people by fighting with them. You don't disturb other people with your words or your deeds or your behavior. So do not disturb anybody's mind. Yasman nod vijate loko. And there is a law of reciprocity in the world. That if you do good, you receive good. If you do evil, you receive evil. If you disturb other people will come and disturb you. This is guaranteed. Those of you who heard me talk on the law of karma will know this. So here he says, do not disturb other people. Other people will also not disturb you. And thus you will have greater focus and time to concentrate on God, to remember God and forget self. And he says, Harsha Marsha Bhayodve Gair Mukto Yaha Same Priya. So he is in fact steady in both happiness and distress. Harsha, joy. Marsha, distress. Marsha is distress. Bhaya, Udvega, fearfulness and anxiety. Fearfulness and anxiety, joy and sorrow. You will mukto yaha. You are completely free from these. And Krishna says, such a devotee is very dear to me. Such a me priya. Mukto yaha, one who is free from this, is one who is indeed free from these, becomes very dear to Krishna. Then Krishna says, Anapeksha Suchir Daksha. So he is neutral. He does not take sides. He does not engage in discussing in politics for this party or against this party. He is anapeksha, completely neutral. Suchihi, Suchi is pure. And what is that purity? That purity is absence of I, me, and myself. Daksha, he is expert. Whatever he engages in, he becomes expert because his mind is silent. He absorbs, he learns, he applies, and therefore he becomes expert. Udasino gatavyataha. He is free from all cares. He is free from anxiety, free from worries. Udasino. And gatavyataha. He is indeed free from all causes of distress. Sarvaramba parityagi. He has renounced the self. He has renounced the ego in all endeavors. And having renounced his ego in all endeavors, he endeavors for God. He doesn't say, I must succeed. I have done this. No. He is Sarva Aramba Parityagi. Yo Mad Bhakta Same Priya. Such a person, Krishna says, is indeed very dear to me. So Krishna explains the nature of this person. Yo na rishyati na dveshati na sochati na kankshati. Shubha Shubha Parityagi Bhaktiman Yah Same Priya. He neither grasps at pleasure, neither does he reject pain. He neither laments nor does he desire. He gives up the idea of auspicious, inauspicious, good luck, bad luck. Bhaktiman Yah Same Priya. Such a person, such a devotee is very dear to me. So, to explain the meaning of the verse, I often give a popular story that once upon a time, in a village in China, there lived a farmer who had one son and one horse with which he tilled his farm. Very large farm, he tilled his farm with one horse and one son. One day the horse ran away. And when the horse ran away, both the father and son had to till the land with the power of their own shoulders and their limbs. So the local villagers came there and said, oh, your horse ran away. How sad, how unfortunate. What bad luck you are having. Indeed, God is really cruel to you. This is called bad luck. So the old Chinese farmer looked heavenwards and he said, good luck, bad luck, who knows? And that horse who had run away, he was a stallion. And he gathered around him 15 female wild horses. And with these 15 female wild horses, he came back to the farm. So now the farmer had 16 horses. So the villagers came to his house demanding a party. They said, see how wonderful, how great, how terrific. This is indeed good luck. God takes with one hand, but he gives with both hands. How great is God? How lucky you are. This is called good luck. And the farmer looked heavenwards and he said, good luck, bad luck, who knows? And while trying to tame these new horses that had come, the farmer's son fell on the ground from the back of one of the horses and he fractured his leg. In the old days, there were no orthopedic surgeons who could fix your fracture. Once you fractured your leg, you could cancel more than 6 months of your life. And you would probably still have some residue of a limb. So the villagers came again and they looked at him and they laughed and they said, Arey, we thought you were lucky, but you became unlucky. What we thought was good luck was indeed bad luck. And this is called bad luck. You have now 16 horses and you don't have a son who can help you to look after them. You have to look after the farm, your son, and the horses all together. This is called bad luck indeed. And the farmer looked heavenwards and said, good luck, bad luck, who knows? And the emperor of China, he declared a war on the neighboring kingdom. And in doing so, he forcibly conscripted, he forcibly enlisted. He gathered all the young men in that district and forced them to join his army. And all the young men in that area, all the young men from the village, everybody was taken into the army and they fought the war, and all the young men in that district died in that war. But one young man remained at home, the one who had broken his leg. So people came and said, see, you are the only person whose son is left alive. This is called good luck. So this farmer looked heavenwards and said, good luck, bad luck, who knows? And this verse is the answer. Yo na rishyati na dveshati na sochati na kankshati shubha shubha parityagi bhaktiman yasame priya. One who neither looks for pleasure or rejects grief, who never laments nor does he desire. He renounces both good luck and bad luck. Why does he renounce good luck and bad luck? He knows everything is coming from God, that not a blade of grass moves without God's consent. Not a blade of grass moves without God's consent. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad points out, Tena vina tranamapina chalati, not a blade of grass moves without the consent of the Lord. If the blade of grass bends on the left side, that is by God's consent. If it bends on the right side, that is by God's consent. So understanding that everything lies within God and understanding that everything happens by the will of God. Indeed, the devotee of God doesn't see good luck or bad luck. He is happy to see that everything that happens is coming from God, and he is ever grateful to God for everything that God is doing for him. So the lesson of this verse is, never think yourself to be lucky or unlucky. You are always blessed when you realize that whatever is happening in your life is happening by the will of God. This is the realization you should take away from this verse. So Krishna points out in his final 18th and 19th discussion on this Jeevan Mukta who is engaged in Parabhakti. Sama shatrau cha mitre cha tatha man apmanayo. He is the same towards shatru, enemy, mitre, towards friends. He is compassionate and loving towards his enemies and friends. Tatha man apmanayo. He remains even-minded, whether he is praised, whether he is honored or whether he is dishonored. Heat and cold, happiness and distress, sito ushana sukha dukheshu. He remains equipoised. He is completely untouched by all association. Sama sanga vivarjitaha. He is not touched by any sort of association. Tulya ninda stutir mauni. People defame him or people speak highly of him. But in fact, he remains even-minded. Tulya. He is always content. Santushta yena kenachit. Aniketa sthiramatir. This is very, very important. Aniketa means he has no fixed, his mind is not attached to any specific abode. He may have a home, he may have a family, but his mind is not attached to that home and to that family. He does his duties, he lives in that place, he fulfills all his obligations to his family. He gives them love and caring and everything. But in his mind, he is without attachment to any physical place. Today we live in one place, tomorrow we may have to move to another place. One who is aniketa is not disturbed. He may move his town, he may move his home, but he remains aniketa without being attached to any physical abode. But he is sthiramatir. How wonderful. Physically he appears to have no abode, but he is completely fixed in his mind, in determination, in remembering God and worshipping Him. So such a devotee, Krishna says, is very, very dear to him. And then, in the concluding verse of the 12th chapter, Krishna explains that this devotee of his, who is performing his dharma, that means he is doing his duty. He has not renounced the world, shaved his head, wearing orange robes, living in a temple, in a cave, in the forest, in the Himalayas. He is doing his dharma. Swadharma is doing. And this understanding, spiritual understanding, comes to him from the performance of his dharma. Ye tu dharmya amritam idam yathoktam upasate. And he engages with full faith on this path. Shraddha dhana mat parama, considering me, Krishna, to be the supreme goal. Bhaktaste tiva me priya. Such a devotee is very, very, very dear to me. So I pray that all of you should learn this chapter by heart, should try to imbibe and transform yourself by offering all your actions to God in a spirit of devotion and renunciation, by chanting His name so that you will remember God and forget self. And you will manifest within yourself all the qualities that we have discussed here. And you will become very, very dear to Krishna. So I will pause here. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Dr. Shantanu. So I'll read out the question. One of our seekers is asking, can you please explain?
Yeah, you're speaking too fast and too softly.
Okay.
Speak slowly and speak loudly.
Okay. I'll read out the question. It's a long question, and then you can answer it. How does one like someone who has done wrong?
Can't understand. How does?
I'll read it out again. How does one like someone who has done wrong?
Lost it. I can't understand. How does what?
How does one like someone, like someone who has done wrong to him or her? Is it fine to not to dislike or hate someone, but at the same time not like them too? So is it important to like everyone, or you can be neutral? Is that what she's asking?
We are not asking you to like everyone. We are asking you to be compassionate and kind and friendly towards everyone. Liking is a form of attachment. Disliking is the opposite. We want you to become free from both raga and dvesha. In the Bhagavad, there is a story which is part of what is known as the Avdut Gita, where this Avdut says that he has had 24 gurus and what he has learned from each guru. And he says, I have learned how to forgive, how to tolerate, how to bear, how not to hold a grudge from the earth. Because the earth is happy with its rich natural vegetation and forestry. But man comes and chops down all the trees, he uproots all the stumps. Having done that, he digs the ground. And having dug the ground with his plow, he plants seeds. And repeatedly planting seeds and growing crops, he denudes that earth of all the nutritious minerals that are there. He digs the earth and goes deep inside the earth to withdraw water. And finally, repeated farming leaves that land completely incapable of producing any crops. Then that earth is again strip mined for all the minerals that lie underneath. So the minerals that lie underneath are then converted into a mine, a strip mine, leaving even deep in cutting into the rocks below. And then digging even deeper to take out the oil that lies beneath. So the earth says, I watch all this and I realize that even those people who are doing things that are hurting me and causing me all kinds of distress, I realize that these people are merely puppets in the hands of God, and God is using them to teach me something. And by keeping this thought in my mind, that God is acting through these people to teach me something, then naturally I become calm and peaceful and loving and forgiving. This is so important. You have to realize that what is great about God is that he acts through everyone all the time. And if that person is hurting you, harming you, torturing you, he's doing it to teach you something. When you look back into the past and you connect the dots, you will realize that God was doing it for your benefit. That God was doing it for your benefit. Sometime at the time of the millennium, just before the millennium or just after the millennium, in one of my lectures, one person came and asked me, my guru has said to keep his picture on my altar. Is that right? I said, yes, Guru is not God, but you can use him as a window to see God who shines through him. So certainly, along with the picture of Krishna, you can keep the picture of your Guru, which will help you to see God through him. You start by seeing God through one person, and then you grow to see God through all persons. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sa cha me na pranashyati. One who sees me in things and all things in me, he is never lost to me, nor am I ever lost to him. So yes, do that. So then he said, and how long will it take me to see God in the hearts of everybody? So I said, all right, now we are in the new millennium. Let me give you a shortcut to see God in the hearts of everybody. Next to the image of Krishna on your altar, you keep a picture of that one person who gives you the maximum trouble in life. The one who hurts you, who pains you, who presses all your wrong buttons, who infuriates you, who incites hatred in you, who makes you mad. Put that person's picture on your altar. And when you put that person's picture on your altar, you pray every day to Krishna through that person. That, oh God, oh Krishna, help me to see you in the hearts of this person, in the heart of this person. And let me understand that you are acting through him and you're trying to teach me something. And I pray that I can see you and I can understand what you're trying to teach me through this person. I said, if you see God in the heart of your guru, you will gradually learn to see God in everyone's heart. But if you can see God in the heart of this person, your enemy, if you can learn to see God in his heart, then you will learn to see God in everyone's heart very fast. Quickly you will become realized.
Thank you, Dr. Shantanu. The next question is, Sir, what is the perfect definition of happiness, if you can explain?
Happiness does not require explanation. Everyone listening to this lecture has experienced happiness and distress. But all the happiness that we experience in the world is nothing but a disguised form of hysteria. That when you are in great tension, you find it a relief to laugh at something. So when you go for an exam, you go for a job interview, when you are under a lot of stress, then anyone makes a foolish remark, you start laughing. You think that's happiness. That is hysteria. True happiness comes when you have found peace. Krishna says in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Ashantasya kuto sukham. If you have not found peace, how can you find happiness? So first you have to reach the Brahma Booth platform where you will experience what is known as true peace. And having attained the Brahma Booth platform, when you attain true peace, then through Parabhakti, you will attain real joy, real happiness. So Brahma Booth will lead you to true peace, without which you cannot have real joy or real happiness. So Ashantasya kuto sukham. Without peace, there is no happiness. And true peace is attained when you reach that Brahma Bhuta platform. And true happiness when you engage in Parabhakti.
Great. So there is no happiness without peace. Thank you so much, Dr. Shantanu. That's all the questions we had. And if you can still, if you can let us know what we can look forward to next week, or if you want to give us, a brief on what you will cover next week.
So next week, I will discuss the subject of the person who is Jeevan Mukta by becoming Gunatit, one who has transcended the three gunas. The three gunas are really a description of the material world of Prakriti based upon Sankhya philosophy. So Sankhyans explain that Prakriti is made of three gunas: Tamagun, Rajagun, and Sattvagun. And how does one cross beyond these three gunas? Because as long as we identify with Prakriti, we suffer in this world. When we realize we are not Prakriti, but we realize that we are Purush, not the Supreme Purush, but we are the individual Purushas. Mamai Vamso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manashastindriyani Prakritistani Karshati. Because you are a fragment of the Supreme Purush, you are struggling with Prakriti, your mind and your senses. Daivi Asagunamai Mama Maya Duratyaya Mam Eva Ye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. So when you are able to surrender unto God, you will transcend these gunas and realize that you are but part of God as Purush. So How does one become gunatita? How does one cross beyond the gunas? How does one separate oneself from Prakriti? How does one situate oneself on the spiritual platform? This is described later in the Bhagavad Gita and describes how to attain that platform of Brahmabhut through the application of the principles that he will be teaching to become gunatit or beyond the gunas. So I will discuss that next time.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Shantanu. Looking forward to the next week. Hare Krishna. Have a great day. And thank you all for
Hari
watching.
Om, Jai Shri
Hari Om.
Krishna, Hari Krishna.
Hari Om.